Daytona International Speedway has always been a home of NASCAR. And well, today we're taking it back to the 1980s as we are going to be going old school with the 1987 Chevy Monte Carlo as we welcome you to the second Next Level Racing event of 2022 here live on RaceSpot TV. Hello again, everyone. My name's Rob Vincent, stuck in a German hotel room, which is a little bit weird. And we've got our Arjuna Kankapati, who's happily sat down in Silicon Valley. And we have an eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series commentator of Blake McCandless along for the ride with us as well. Practice is underway. We're going to talk to you about everything that is going on over the course of this event right now, and we're going to start off with prizes. It's Elliott Sadler Esports versus the Next Level Racing community, and overall first place gets themselves a GTE-like cockpit frame. We've also got iRacing credits for the Next Level communities, $100 iRacing credits for first place, $50 for second, and $25 for third. And then we've got some finish the race random giveaways as well, which involves some signed Elliott Sadler Esports hat and Elliott Sadler Esports merch. Well, you know what, Arjuna? You weren't even born in the 1980s. We didn't even have Windows 3.1 in terms of what tech we had in Silicon Valley. And tonight, we're taking it old school.
We're going back to an era when, for slightly older fans of racing, men were men, the cars were harder to drive, the cars were way more dangerous. Today at Daytona, with speed's going to really ramp on up in big packs. It's going to be all about surviving through the 30-40 minutes of chaos to make it to the end in one piece where you can fight for glory.
And before we get ourselves some chaos, we're going to talk to people, who's challenging Next Level Racing today. We've got Elliott Sadler here. Hi, welcome along to this event. Welcome to RaceSpot TV. Well, this is a little bit different, isn't it?
It is different, but this is fun. This is what it's all about. You said that we're challenging Next Level Racing, but when we have great partnerships like this, I love having nights where we get more people involved and different drivers and personalities on iRacing, along with good sponsors, and we can come in here and have some good times with each other.
Now, talk us through what's different about this 7 Chevy Monte Carlo compared to what most people would understand from a NASCAR in 2022.
Well, these things are way harder to drive, a lot less downforce. It's up off the track a little bit. It's going to move around a little bit more than what these guys are facing in today's world. Everything in today's world is more locked down on the racetrack and doesn't really move and slide around, so you really can be aggressive as far as bump drafting and side drafting, where these cars, you can just get close to each other and it'll really move you around. So a lot harder to drive, sliding around a lot more on these bias-by tires, but that's what makes it fun as well.
And we're not going to see the good old pack racing. We're not going to definitely see being bump drafter on the entire circuit like what we've had over the last 10 years, are we?
No, sir. If you see bump drafting tonight, you're going to see carnage. You're going to see a lot of wrecks. You got to really. The biggest difference is with no restrictive brakes like these cars run, this style of car, it can really push you in the corner a lot faster than the car will really handle. So if somebody's drafting with you, you're going to go 8 to 10 mile an hour faster into the corner, and you're going to have to learn to use your throttle a little bit and lift a little bit and things like that to set the car. If not, you'll get a little loose or a little tight depending on the line that you're running. So it's going to be a little bit more methodical as far as creating space and a little bit different, technique than what the guys are using in today's world.
Well, thank you very much, Elliott. We've got about 20 seconds left of practice, so we're going to let you get your car ready for qualifying. And, well, I'm going to bring Blake in at this point as well, because this is very different from what you're used to talking about in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. We're going to get a lot different racing today compared to what we're used to seeing in iRacing's top-level NASCAR Series.
Oh, certainly so, and I think Elliott did a great job explaining a lot of the differences in this car that make it so unique and so much different and so exciting for a driver, because these are not just different from, the next-gen car that we currently race in the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, or the Xfinity car that's in the Contender Series, or even the trucks that are a level down from that in the Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series. This is totally its own thing, back with a lot of horsepower, little downforce, and Elliott was talking about it perfectly, that these cars have so much speed, the lean and the bias ply tires. It's a unique challenge even for drivers that are experienced in iRacing. It's a big challenge for these guys, but that's what makes these cars so much fun.
Okay, so qualifying is underway. Let's have a look then at the lineups. And this is the group, Arjun, who are representing Elliott Sadler's Esports lineup. We've got some really good names in here.
We've got a couple of NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers. You've got Elliott himself, drivers on their way up to the top level of sim racing, but these drivers have a mark to beat in the 3 previous Next Level Racing Versus events that we've hosted here on RaceSpot TV so far in 2022. Next Level Racing and its community have come out on top every single time. In what's going to be a chaotic race, can these guys get to the end and put themselves with a chance of victory?
I was going to try and avoid that in case Fordzilla are listening, because they were resoundingly beaten a couple of weeks ago. But let's have a look then. Next Level Racing staff and ambassador lineups then. They're on your screen right now. And again, Blake, some really interesting names here.
Oh, certainly so. You look at that list and you could see, again, an NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver in Blake Reynolds, David Schildhaus, who qualified through the Road to Pro ladder, as well as some different personalities on this lineup. So I like the matchup that we have here. Fairly balanced, but I think it should put on a good show.
And of course, we've got to remember that the rest of the field, they are community members from the Next Level Racing group of things. So these are people who have registered for the event. They're part of the Next Level community. And of course, you've got to remember that when we come to the prizes at the end of the event as well. You mentioned it already, Arjun, and again, I do feel sorry if Team Fordzilla are listening, because they've been beaten by Next Level Racing, not once, but twice. I think this is going to be the toughest challenge that Next Level Racing's had over the last couple of months, because I think this will likely come down to who is aggressive at the right time, who can make sure they get on top of this wheel, get a good qualifying, and possibly find some protection on the racetrack as well.
I think it's fair to say that this type of racing is going to take a lot more skill than the current style of super speedway plate style racing. However, you need luck, and when you have a limited number of drivers compared to the wealth of talent that we have in our community pool, I think it's going to be very, very difficult. Ultimately, I'll go back to it again. I've said it now 3 times. I think surviving is going to be point number 1, especially with these qualifying times being relatively close. The difficulty of this car, it's hard to make too many predictions.
It is going to be close in terms of qualifying. It is going to be close in terms of the race. We've got to remember the fact that, cautions will come into play, manual cautions, etc. here today. So it's not going to be exactly what we'd see in an official iRacing race. But at the same time, you make the best comment of the day so far. These cars are going to be so much harder. You can see there, number 21, into turn 1. That was Jason Maines. And the back end of that car was just all over the place, trying to get it settled down into the corner. We've got to remember as well, this is technically pre-restrictor plate era by a year as well. So this is completely different. I mean, you weren't born when this car was racing, Arjun, and this is the thing. This is not anything like what you see on TV, on Fox, or NBC, etc. You might get the paint skins back at Darlington, but you're not going to get the on-the-wheel manual action that we're going to see over the next 45 minutes or so.
And it's where the relationship that iRacing and Dale Jr. have, forged over the years has come into play. This car and its counterpart that debuted a couple of years ago, and then the loving that they got with the big overhaul when Dale wasn't satisfied, called up Bobby Labonte and said, what do we need to do to make these cars better? It's a true testament to what sim racing can be about. Not just about accessibility and allowing anyone to enjoy what racing is all about, but to preserve a legacy that we want to enjoy.
Yeah, and you've got to remember as well, very quickly, that Dale Jr. was pretty much one of the first members on iRacing right back at the very beginning. Back when, you know, iRacing's initial aim as a training tool, it was Dale Jr. was there from the start, and his message still being felt as qualifying ends. What we're going to do is we're going to look at our starting grid in just 1 moment's time. The drivers, they are going to be ready to go out on their pace lap in just 1 moment's time. So let's have a look then at your starting grid. And row number 1, it is Elliott Sadler Esports, is Garrett Maines, and alongside him is Blake Reynolds in the number 66 car, the Next Level Racing ambassador. Just 12 1/1000ths of a second separating that front row of the grid. Row number 2, again, Elliott Sadler Esports with Liam Brotherton alongside him, Next Level Racing ambassador David Schildhaus. Row number 3, Alex Gardner, Next Level Racing community member, and a community member alongside him with Kenny Brady in the number 32. We go back, Maxwell Castro and Michael Fritsch on row number 4. Row 5, you've got Brendan Kohler and Nate Stewart. Row 6 is Ty Severa and Alexander Russell. We carry on cycling this field back in. Thing to note, Blake, we've got a lot of cars. Arjun has said the word survival. I've said the word survival. You've got to survive lap number 1, but you've got to make sure as well you don't take it too careful, otherwise your race will pretty much be done, even if all 4 wheels are pointing in the right direction.
It's definitely going to be about surviving. This is a brief race. It's timed at 40 minutes, so of course you want to make sure that you're around there for the end. But the one thing about these cars is that you can take it easy, you can be patient with it, but all it takes is one little mistake. And again, with how much speed these cars carry, how much the aerodynamics are affected when you're behind a car or when a car is behind you, how that messes with the handling of everything. So being able to manage all that and not make a mistake, it's going to be a true test for all 40 minutes that these drivers are out there.
Big field, of course, Arjuna, and the big field means that there's going to be some people trying to work their way up all the way from the rear. You've got to do it 1 car at a time here, and you've got to basically be up on the rear. You've got to think about how much you can push, and also wreck avoidance. It's a lot harder compared to any of the other machines that we currently see in NASCAR competition.
I think to some degree you'll see a lot of cars just hang back initially, and that's when the wreck avoidance will come in. We've got drivers of all sorts of I-rating, pulled ourselves up on the banking, pace car rolling around Daytona.
So working themselves through NASCAR Turn 2 onto the back straight away. Blake, come on, give me a pick. Who's your winner of this one?
Well, looking at this one, I look for experience when it comes to driving this race car because it's so much different than what these drivers are typically used to. And when I think of experience in this field, I know he won a 600-mile race that we ran in these cars at Charlotte a couple of nights ago. I'm going to go with the 58 of Michael Frisch, or the 16, rather, of Michael Frisch. I just think he's a community member. I know it's a little bit different, but again, I think his experience in this car, he runs it a lot. I think that's going to really help him tonight.
Arjuna, same question. You got 10 seconds.
I'm going to go with Blake's wisdom. I'm just going to steal him. 16 car.
There we are. So, pace car is going to work itself out of corner number 4. As has already been mentioned by Blake, this is not going to run to laps. It is a timed race. And of course, we want these guys to have fun. Welcome to prime time. Welcome to Next Level Racing versus Elliott Sadler Esports, and they're going to have the cars working themselves through what will be the Geico start zone. We've got the green flag in the air. We are racing at Daytona.
And there's already a car that's gone around. There's some chaos. Cars down low, cars up high. Remember, manual cautions in play for today. The front of the field storms their way into turn number 1.
They are 2 wide, 2 deep as they work their way through turn number 2 onto the back straight away for the first time. There we can see the counter. 39 minutes, 30 seconds remaining in this race. Looks though we're going to stay green for the time being, Blake, as they work themselves into free for the first time.
Well, coming in, that's another challenge with these cars, is that it requires you to push the clutch down fully to shift. There are no clutchless transmissions like we typically see in the next-gen car, the Xfinity car, at least when you're going from first to second, that you can just flip the throttle. So pushing in the clutch, it doesn't shift quite as easy as the modern cars do, so not surprised there with a 55-car field that we had a little bit of issues. A couple cars in the back of the field spin out, but again, no shocker that perhaps getting through the gears for these drivers definitely is showing itself to be a challenge.
That's going to be an issue, of course, for restarts as well. As we can see again, they are still pretty much too wide, too deep in front, and we've got teammates working together already, Blake. As you see, just actually Reynolds cutting the front off there of Mains and that number 39 cars. They work to complete what is technically up to of this race. Got more drama behind on the exit 4.
I think I even saw one car come to pit road, perhaps trying to make a little bit of strategy here. Aaron Hale spun off the corner as well, and he's going to limp it back to the other side of pit road. That's another thing that is really going to come into play here with it being a timed race. If we're able to go green for a long time, getting these cars stopped to pit road is something that you have to have practiced before you came out here, because these cars, they don't do anything well. They don't turn well. They don't stop well. They like whatever state they're currently at. That's what they like to stay at, which is why you can see they carry so much speed. More smoke here in the tri-oval. A couple of drivers at the bottom here.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that would normally, I would say, bring out a caution. I was starting to worry about what lap traffic will do when we get up to them at some point in this race, Arjuna. We almost had the issue very early on. However, your top three have started to break away a little bit. We're on board with Blake Reynolds as they work down the back straight away, and there's going to be a little bit of a push there. Oh, and he turns himself up. You can't do that. 9-3, and he somehow saves it.
Maybe that off-road All-Star Invitational experience coming into play for the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver of Blake Reynolds. He'll drop down to 6. We'll promote Castro to fight side by side for the race lead as they come to the strike. It's Garrett Mains that will lead, but they've got some separation. Still cars trying to gather it up on that entry down into turn number 1. Been so much chaos, but we still got 10 cars split by 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, we've got a couple of cars on the apron trying to get themselves back onto the track. Once we get that replay, can we send that one off directly to the iRacing top 10, please? Because, I mean, I know the push was a little bit stupid, but that save was spectacular. What it does mean is it's Brady leading right now from Max Castro. They work 2 wide. We've got 3 wide right now through turn number 3. And look at that power move. Absolute power move there by Mains as he's trying to work himself up into second, Blake.
Up into second, we had another spinner in turns 3 and 4. I think it was a little bit of contact with Blaze Crawford. So it has really kind of trended down this lead pack. 3 wide, tough to do here at Daytona. Garrett Mains trying to shove it up the middle over Kenny Brady, going to be able to make that pass. And that's where you see, look at the front of this field. You see so much talent up here. It's no surprise that I guess the cream of the crop is really all that's left so far up here at the front of the field.
As that is Fritz going to the point then, as we have completed 6 laps at the stripe here, Arjuna, and there is some lap traffic that will come into play in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, they're going to have to be careful. The great thing, of course, about iRacing, these simulators, is you can get on the blower and communicate with those around you. Here's a look at that save from Blake Reynolds. One way, then the other through the grass. Some just great heads-up driving as he rejoined the track as well. Those around him went up high, gave him the room. It didn't cause any more chaos. And speaking of chaos, the 50's been thrown around, the 39 straight into his rear.
Yeah, and that was the 39. There we are, first caution of the day then. So 5 minutes worth of racing. We have caution number 1. That gives us a moment to slow things down and reset the field. I was about to say, Arjuna, that's not like Talladega banking. This is Daytona banking. So at the point he was trying to get back on to the oval, he was going from pretty much no banking to 31 degrees of banking, and that is really tough in any car to control.
Yeah, I'm very, very impressed. The quick hands there. Just taking a look, by the way, at that incident that I think brought out the caution. He'll get a look at it. That's a car, I believe, that was a lap down in Sam Swope, one of our community members. He loses it up into the wall, and then as he's coasting, Garrett Maines comes up from behind. There's really not much that he can do because the 50's bouncing up and down through the track, and Maines hard into the rear. Our caution flies for the first time tonight.
We said avoiding carnage was going to be a key, Blake. We said lap traffic could be a factor. It ended up being a factor. The field is reset. You mentioned getting on towards pit road. This could be a lifeline now for drivers. I expect to see pit road busy, even though they've only been racing for about 7 minutes.
Well, you have to think these drivers are carrying so much speed. They're going over 200 miles an hour into the corners. Oh, man, another... Gosh, what a hellacious hit there for Sam Swope again. That was on the backside of it. Now, of course, you could see his car looks fine. Damage is off, so there's kind of the reasoning behind that his car isn't completely ripped apart by that type of impact. You could see everybody going to come down and take tires because everybody's so loose. You're sliding these cars all around. They'll take any chance they can to try to replace these tires.
Yep, so they're all onto pit road to get themselves that service done. And we have got a couple of people who are staying out. That always makes things interesting, Arjuna.
It does. You see how much these cars are sliding, and at such high speed as well. The load thrown through these tires quite significant. So for the couple that have stayed out there, the 7, at least for the time being, that have rolled the dice and gambled, we'll see how they struggle. The race off pit road, though, sees Alexander Russell, the 27. I saw him rocketing down pit road at a slightly faster speed than those around him. He's first off. He's in 8th.
Fantastic as Otto recovers from his heart attack. We can reset the field, and it is Dylan Blake who is leading right now in the number 80 car, who did not come onto pit road, Blake. Now, some drivers will just come on the lap later just because they want to be avoiding of all the drama. I don't think that Dylan is wanting to do that, so that could make for a very interesting restart, especially as they've already had a heat cycle on these tires.
They have, and I think if you're staying out right here, you definitely value that track position. You may think that another caution is going to be on the horizon. Typically, at a super speedway, and it would still carry over to this car, you usually want to go down and fuel up every single caution just to ensure that if we do go green for a long time, you don't have to pin on your own and lose a little bit of draft and lose a little bit of time. I don't imagine that these drivers, if we were to go green for the next 30 minutes or so, or at least from what I could see, about 31 minutes left on the clock. I don't imagine that you'd be able to make it all the way, or at least it would be close at this point, whether you could take all that fuel down to the end. It'd be about 36 or 37 laps is about the fuel window here at this racetrack, so kind of wondering if we could get that in about 31 minutes. It would be pretty close, honestly, with fuel mileage here.
Yeah, I think another yellow will definitely help for some of these drivers. We don't like yellows generally as a rule, but some of these drivers, for the points that you made earlier about getting on towards pit road in these cars. You talked earlier on about the fact that trying to get up to speed is far harder in this car compared to the modern NASCARs that you often see on iRacing. Explain that in a bit more detail as we've got 1 lap to go, Blake.
Well, in a lot of the modern NASCAR machines, you can turn on an anti-stall, which, as far as I know, just about any iRacer I know uses that. So when you're shifting the gears in a modern NASCAR vehicle, when you're going from first to second, all the way up to 4th gear, you don't need to press the clutch pedal to get the car to shift. You can blip the throttle a little bit, and that is enough to satisfy the car, and it'll shift the car. For these cars, that is not an option. You must use the clutch pedal, push it all the way down, and shift the car into the next gear. So that's one thing that is much different, and for drivers that aren't used to doing that, whether they map a clutch pedal or a button or what have you, or even turn on the auto clutch, there is an option for that as well. It's an adjustment for these drivers to make sure that they go through all the gears smoothly. We'll see if they're able to do it on this restart.
Of course, in my part of the world, most of us drive stick shifts, already used to it, but I do know some sim racers who literally don't know what that utter left pedal actually does. We are back to green flag racing then. Our first caution, and that's a big wreck already. And there we are looking onward. Oh, okay. Why we're not yellow, I don't quite understand, Arjuna.
Yeah, not sure either. The caution...
There it is.
Yep, there it is. The admin's just letting it play out so he can get maximum carnage since it looked inevitable. There's the 70s style mustache from the, I believe, Elliott Sadler Esports Director of Marketing, Seth Reiter. I love it. He's getting right into period. Are they still wrecking as they work their way in towards turn one?
Yeah, they are. They are. I mean, there's no damage, so, you know, there's no repercussions for what they do, so long as they make sure they actually get into some form of order behind the iRacing safety car. I was going to say, we need to have a couple of awards at the end of this race, Arjuna. One of them was going to be the Intimidator Award, and the other one I thought was going to be the Cowboy Hat Award, because you know what, let's give Richard Petty some love as well. But, as it stands, we might also need to have a Carnage Award, not for Carnage competition, because that's not existing in this part of the world, but we need to have a Carnage Award for the driver who's made the biggest impact in causing yellow, causing incidents, causing something.
How about the driver that survived the most hellacious incident and still got into the top 10? I think... second caution, what, 10 minutes in? I think we're in for a couple more of these potentially. I want to see who's going to be able to put something big behind them and still look to go aggressive, because as soon as you get into your shell here, something big happens, you do tend to become a little conservative. Let's grab a look at the RaceBot TV replay, and before they even got on the loud pedal, the 32 had clipped the 01 around in front of him, though. That was the palaver that we saw.
And quite often what you'd actually see, if you see something in the background, Blake, it can just distract you for that 0.1 of a second when you should be looking forward, and then all of a sudden, boom, something's happened in front of you. Chain reactions can happen backwards as well as forwards.
It can, and I think a lot of kind of where that originated, I was actually kind of looking forward. The 13 car of Colton Easterday, he got through the gears okay, but he either started in second or third gear, so that kind of caused a little bit of these cars to be slow. My goodness, are they just piling in, nowhere to go, and again, no damage, so the cars just ricochet and kind of trampoline off each other with the no damage. You could see a little bit of a flip. I mean, that is a massive, massive accident. But so, I mean, maybe they heard what we were saying and he thought, well, if I only shift from third to fourth, you only have one opportunity to miss a shift, but unfortunately that's going to get you up to speed a lot slower, and I think it kind of was one of many things that happened there on that restart.
And the thing is, Blake, is that you got double file starts and restarts in NASCAR. Compare that to, you know, the other open wheel category, which, let's not forget, back in the 1980s, it was IndyCar that was pretty much in that whole kind of like start of the kart era, bigger than NASCAR for a while. It wasn't really until the 90s and after you had the Fox, TNT, and ESPN deal that started in 2000. Well, you had the Fox NBC deal, then the Fox, TNT, ESPN deal, that NASCAR really started to ramp up the viewership figures. But difference between NASCAR and IndyCar back then, it was single file restarts for IndyCar and kart, double file restarts for NASCAR, and that makes it a lot more difficult negotiating going up those gears again and again.
Well, it's interesting because in this era, 1987, they were still doing single-file restarts in NASCAR. You would have the lead lap cars on the outside, and then if there were lap down cars, they would restart on the inside right next to the leaders. Yeah, so it definitely made it a little interesting that you could have double-file restarts, or you would start the race with lap down cars fighting and clawing to try to get their lap back. There wasn't a lucky dog. They raced back to the line. But it was totally different in that era to be able to do that. It was a big shift.
Yeah, I've forgotten all about the pre-Lucky Dog era. I was trying to remember. I remember you had people on CBS that were doing NASCAR stuff back then. But we have got a field right now. We're looking on board with Adam Herr, Next Level Racing community member, number 84 car. Cars are double file once again, Arjuna. That means we are about to go racing once again. And when we do go racing, you're going to be chatting with Liam Brotherton, I believe.
Yeah, he's got some cars in front of him, we'll put it that way. He's down in 31st position, but one of our NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers for Elliott Sadler Esports, well, I'm sure that he's going to be looking forward to the challenge in front of him of slicing and dicing his way back to the front.
Yeah, indeed. And we're going to go on board with him, of course, in a couple of moments' time. He is not in the best place on track right now. By the way, live timing and scoring is available. racebot.tv/timing. That is racebot.tv/timing. If you are new to Racebot, hi. My name's Will Vincent, along with Arjuna Kankapati and Blake McCandless. And you can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and of course on Discord. Racebot.wtf/Discord for that one. Shout out, of course, to Next Level Racing for putting this event on today. We are almost ready to go racing, and as we do so, we're going to go on board then with the number 2 car all the way down in 33rd place. You're going to be talking to him in a moment, Arjuna. Let's restart underway. That slice, that's a dice, that's a hit, and somehow managed to avoid hitting the number 40 car as there's even more stuff going on. You're right there, Liam.
We're doing great, guys. We're doing great. The mustache power got me through the accident. We're doing great. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing great. Love that you've gotten into the spirit of this exciting evening of action. Let's talk about this car. Very different to what you race on a bi-weekly basis. How much fun is it? You guys really have to wheel these machines.
I love this stuff. There might be a reason we're running this tonight. These 87 cars on these super speedways are just such a fun combination of traditional oval skill mixed with the plate racing knowledge. You really got to be cautious to not wreck people. Got to know what you're doing with the air. But yeah, it's just a blast. Awesome to see everybody out here trying. I see everybody getting loose on entry, crashing up in the wall, getting tight. Really cool.
Got some work to do. You know that Next Level Racing is undefeated. The teams have got some work to do. What can you do to work your way forward from here?
Well, I think I'm going to try and work with this Ben guy, at least for a little bit. Well, maybe not. We got to get going forward. There's going to be at least one more caution before the end of this race. Hopefully we can just pick people off as they wreck here and be all right. I see there's a bunch of smoke in front of me. Hopefully that means we're going to gain some spots, and for the last restart, we'll be in a better position.
Never lift, I like it. There's a true sign of a man with
fine wrecking everywhere up
skills. Yeah, now we see perfectly in front of you. Let's talk about 2022 then, as you try and navigate through the carnage, split the difference. Oh, that was wonderful. What's the first half of the year been like for you in the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series? How are you looking to close it off as you work to the end of the regular season?
It's been intriguing. We've lacked a little bit of raw setup engineering pace. But we've done a pretty good job of not crashing for the most part. I haven't taken out as many people as I need to this year. I need to start being a little bit more of a cruise missile out there and start hitting the intimidate button on people. But yeah, hopefully we can do good. Pocono and Bristol coming up should be pretty good tracks for me, particularly Bristol. So hopefully we can maybe grab a win and get ourselves in top 20 and make the playoffs. It'd be pretty cool.
Love it. Thanks for chatting to us during the racing. It's always more exciting when we see it. We enjoy the theme that you've got going on as well. Good luck for the rest of the evening.
Well, thank you, guys. Thank you for broadcasting as per usual.
You know, one of the last times that I did an interview with someone on board was when they were doing a competitive race and they ended up crashing in real time. So we saw a bit of crashing there. Somehow they kept it all together. Somehow they go 4 wide past the start-finish stripe and they stick it together. Elliott Sadler just nope moment. It's like, okay, I see all these tries behind me. I'm not touching that. But he survived, didn't he, Liam? I mean, that was some pretty sketchy moments in the middle of that, but that shows you, you know, if you get to the high level of the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, you can pretty much wreck avoid anything.
I love the 3 wide moment when he was basically straddling the banking and the apron as Josh Edmondson, winner 1 of these Next Level Racing community events, has gone around in the 58. But I loved how he was just able to bring it back and kind of let's call out his team owner for a moment. Elliott Sadler, who we saw for a moment there, spun around. Well, the reason why he was back there was because on the restart, he totally jumped the field, decided to go when no one else had gone. Race control, because they know what's on the line tonight, elected to give him the black flag clear as well. They're still wrecking the 56 up into the wall.
That's into the wall. That is one of those things when there is technically no damage right now, but there's bits and pieces kind of falling off the car and then being stuck back onto the car in record time there, Blake.
And that is the case with the, I guess I would say to have realistic collisions, essentially you'll suffer the damage, but it will self-repair within a couple of moments. So if you see these wheels, these parts breaking off the car, that's exactly what it does, is they allow that to happen so that the collision is realistic, and then, well, obviously it'll repair itself, so a little bit different.
Well, the good news is we're over halfway through this one. We've got ourselves just under 19 minutes of this race to go. I'm going to run through the top 5 very quickly because, well, my timing and scoring screen just needs to be updated, but it is currently Nate Stewart who's leading by 1.5 seconds over Garrett Maines right now. Wes Graham in 3rd, Daniel Sullier in 4th, and Reese Barham rounds out your top 5. Just saw a car hit the wall there, pretty much real time, Blake. And that's the whole thing. Normally at Daytona, that outside wall doesn't get much love at all. That's the number 28 car of Rob Carl, getting a little bit loose off the corner. Back end of the car hit the wall on the exit of turn number 2. Of course, if we're being ultra realistic here, there wouldn't even be a safer barrier on this track. Safer barriers weren't really installed until after they started it in IndyCar at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, well, there is an older version of Daytona, a scan from 2008 that's very bumpy, that it is typically what is paired with these race cars, but that's with this modern version of Daytona, obviously you get the safer barriers with it, but the track is so much smoother. That's why the speeds, even for some of these drivers who have a lot of experience in this car at this racetrack, it's usually not at this version of Daytona, but that only makes the speed so much greater and handling more of a factor because of how much speed they're able to carry into the corner. They're not suffering through the bumps like they typically do as we ride on board here with David Schildhaus.
Yeah, we are. Isn't it the first year after they resurfaced the track was when Montoya had his jet dryer incident and they had to pretty much resurface up one of the corners again? Or am I getting my years confused?
Oh, they were able to repair that track, but yes, I think it was 2012.
Yes.
Was the year, yeah, that Montoya had his incident there with the jet dryer. In 2011, I believe, was the first 500 with a Trevor Bayne one that was on this surface.
Oh, yeah, good old Trevor Bayne in the Wood Brothers machine. I remember that one. As it is Stewart still leading by 0.6 of a second, Arjun. That gap's come down by a second in the last couple of laps. And of course, I am thinking as well, lap traffic, avoiding the carnage. What do you have to do if you're Nate Stewart to keep hold of that lead?
We've also got Garrett Maines coming from behind, who is one of the better plate racers here on iRacing. So many times, no matter what the car is, he's managed to find a way to close on up. And if you can get some assistance from traffic, it just makes it that little bit easier. They are starting to drop 4th on back. Wes Graham hasn't been totally dropped in the 33, but you see more and more puffs of smoke. There's still plenty of isolated pockets of chaos. If they come across those at the wrong point in time, we could be in for another huge incident.
Now, I just love the amount of smoke that's on the track. It reminds me of how this track must look, Arjuna, before the summer Daytona race. I won't call it whatever it's called because it keeps on changing these days. But the 400-mile race that takes place in the summer, and that was some proper ping-ponging in there onto the outside water too.
And it was your race leader that went around, Nate Stewart, with involvement with... I don't want to necessarily blame it all on lap traffic, but that was a big one. He gets clipped as well. Wes Graham sliding up towards the start-finish line and trying to get out of the way. Garrett Maines now leads by 1.4 seconds.
you know what? I think that Wes Graham has been pushed around more than Hugo Louise was at airport security a couple of weeks ago in Amsterdam. Hugo Louise, by the way, is our executive producer here today. I would love to see a replay of Wes Graham, because I'm sure he ever had a car underneath him, or he was underneath a car. Then for a good mile or so, Blake, he was just dragged and pushed and hit around the racetrack.
Well, at a certain point, once you get hit and you're sliding, you can't really, you're just along for the ride at this point. And I think that's what we're going to see here. 33 of Wes Graham. You could see an accident in front of him. He's just an innocent bystander. Shoots into the outside wall. He doesn't have a wheel right now. And there you see he gets lifted up almost like we saw Ryan Sieg in the Xfinity race today. Finally gets let go of that. He thinks about it. Well, guess what? No, there's another car rolling across right here. So just bad luck after bad luck there for Wes Graham.
I think that gets the award, Arjuna, for biggest wreck of the day.
Yes, but he's still got to recover back into the top 10, so he's got a long way to go. Here's Blake and my pick, the number 16, Michael P. Frisch, back in 6th spot, but a full 7 seconds away from your race leader. 1 and 2 split by 6/10. And then a gaggle 3rd and 4th with Elliott Sadler still involved with a fight for the podium. This is that opportunity. I mentioned a couple of times already, Will, for Next Level Racing Street to come to the end.
They just make sure they work together a little bit. And I would say if they just try and take over the bottom of the racetrack, like what they were doing at the very start of the race, they might have an opportunity. Of course, right now, the gap between P1 and P2 is absolutely nothing. This is the battle for the race lead. You've got Next Level Racing's Reese Barham right now, front of the field. Then you've got 2 Elliott Sadler racing cars. One of them is actually Elliott Sadler himself. So there you are. There are your top 3. It's completely changed recently. A little bit more free-wide racing as they come past NASCAR Turn 3. I say NASCAR Turn 3, Blake. I have to apologize. I'm so much more used to commentating GT endurance racing around here. The phrase NASCAR Turn 3 is just stuck in my head.
Oh, well, that's fine, and I'm the exact same when I call a road course race here. I'm much more accustomed to covering the big 2.5 mile super speedway here at Daytona, as we see one car on the outside wall. So no offense taken there.
As we're looking from the rear right now of Garrett Maines in the number 39, Elliott Sadler East car past the stripe then. 12 minutes 30 remaining in this race. What do you have to do apart from survive from this point on if you are Maines, Arjuna?
You look in the rearview mirror and you see where the one car behind is finding speed. With 12 minutes to go, there's still a long way. You're not out of the woods of a caution being back out onto track. As still more and more carnage going on. I think we've seen basically every car involved in something or another. But you look and see, you figure out those lines, and you come to those final 5 miles, and you put yourself in the right position. 3rd on back is wrecked in the biggest way possible.
Yeah, I think we might be able to legally use the definition big one there, Blake.
No doubt about it. That's what you've come accustomed to seeing at Daytona over the years, and that was a large pack of cars in a much different way because they've been so spread out. But again, you see cars piling in because we've been kind of hesitant to throw those cautions. So if you can get through it and there's no damage, well, you really have no incentive to live for it. So you're going to just kind of pick a lane and keep your foot on the throttle and hope and pray that you pick the right lane.
Who would think that the training that you would get from the Carburetor Cup would finally come in useful in another iRacing event?
Who would have thought?
Well, here we are. Let's get the replay then, and that starts with the number 12 car. And from there, it is absolute carnage. There is pretty much not a clean lane on the track at one point. You basically enter turn 3, and it's a case of which would you rather do? Hit a car or hit the safer barrier, Arjuna?
We didn't see too many blowovers. I saw one car up and over, sliding on its roof. No cars into the catch fencing. Yes, it was big, but it could have been even bigger. And now the one has been mixed up in something. Garrett Maines, 8-second lead, and continuing to run away with 10.5 minutes left to go. We might need to get the caution out just to guarantee we ever finish to the end of this race.
Well, I also want to ask the honest question here. Because there is some competition in play, what is the rule about just doing the old turn on someone if you are going to be coming up behind mains, be it actually on the racetrack or be it a lap down, Arjuna, because I mean, this is old school NASCAR. This isn't the sort of thing where we had rule books and all that stuff. This is when drivers would settle it out on the racetrack.
I think that to some degree NASCAR drivers wish they could still do it on the racetrack. Look at that bad one down on the apron as well. I think if you're any of these drivers... Oh, there we go. Caution's out. I said we had to throw it to reel mains back in. We'll call this our Stage 3 caution.
Well, it is our third caution of the day, so...
See what I did there, huh?
I see what you did. That was really good. I really hate stages. I know I'm probably not allowed to say it, but I hate stages, Blake.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things. I've come to appreciate them in a certain way. I would really like it, especially at least at the road courses, if maybe they would experiment with handing out points, but not throwing the caution, because I think that'd make the strategy a little more interesting and not really break things up as much, especially at the road courses.
So, situation is, we have a slightly more modern iRacing pace car that's going to pick up the field. Garrett Mains first place, Reese Baum second, Michael Fritz in third. However, Arjuna, I would expect to see everyone on pit road here. You're going to need fresh tyres after these last couple of minutes, and basically you want to be in position that when that green flag flies, you can actually go.
Yeah, we did, 25 odd laps on tires for those that didn't come down pit road, if I'm remembering correctly. So you're almost guaranteed to see them come down for tires this time by. Of the 46 that took to the green, we're down to 22 still on the lead lap. A couple of cars hoping to cycle their way around as the field streaks down to pit road.
Indeed, so, and just to remind you of what the rules are in this situation, if you basically come out now as the field comes on towards pit road, if you are in front of the leader, you have two options. You come on towards pit road, you get yourself your tyres, you end up to the lap down, or you have the opportunity to basically go ahead and reclaim your lap. We've got some lovely 80s style graphics on board for you here today, Blake. Shout out to producer Hugo Louise for this one, but this is basically Mains getting himself a service done. And I'm wondering, is he going to be able to hold the lead? I don't think he can, but he's still showing it on my monitor.
Well, at least he's leading off of pit road, and I think the rest of the field, likely some that are going by, are trying to get waved around to get back onto the lead lap. I know noticed the 17 of Alex Gardner stayed out. Not sure if that'll score him back all the way on the lead or to the lead of the race or not, but Mains, so far as all the cars that came down to pit, will at least exit with the lead off of pit road.
Yeah, where we're going to look at it right now is by the time we go green, Blake, we're looking at about a 6-lap shootout, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're about right. We're 7 minutes in. Oh, a little trouble here under caution as Frisch got a little bit of a bump there from behind, perhaps from Reese Baum. But yeah, I think with the lights on the pace car right now, we'll get the one to go, I believe, this time. So that should put us at roughly about 5 minutes. So yeah, about 5 or 6 laps, I would say, maybe 7 laps.
And, of course, they're spinning themselves around under caution. Oh. And, ironically, they're spinning themselves around under caution when they're on the same side as well, Arjuna.
And the worst part is poor Adam Briggs. I think I've commentated on him now in about 10 different races, whether it be in one of these Next Level Racing official events or the iRacing Off-Road All-Star Invitational. In every race I've done, he's either been on his lid or involved in some sort of crash. It continues here today. Poor Adam just wants me out of the comms booth.
We don't want you out the comms booth. Not today, anyway. And I could probably do with your help next weekend as well for the iRacing Spa 24H. But hey, we've got 5 minutes, 50 seconds remaining here. And it is Gardner leading, Main second, Frisch third, Raham fourth, and Brady, not Tom, in P number 5. Cars, you can see them getting waved around where necessary. So, situation is going to be, and by the way, that is the graphics you are expecting to see. Remember, this is an 80s race. We're going to get ourselves a restart. After that, if memory serves me correct, Arjuna, there is not going to be another caution. The next flag we will see will be the white flag, and the flag after that will be the green flag.
Believe that is correct. Our manual cautions, of course, triggered by race control. I think the understanding is up and down through the field. Once the green flies, we race back to the end of this race with under 5 minutes left to go.
And of course, that means the strategy changes, Blake. It's no longer about survival. It's about putting that noisy pedal down and seeing just how much you can get away with.
Certainly the case. You're going to want to keep your track position, stay up front. How aggressive you get with blocking, that's all going to come into play here. 7 or 8 laps to settle it out.
Okay, 4 minutes 30 to go. Here we go then, green flag in the air. Cars coming down towards 1. We've got Elliott Sadler's racing team leading. Next Level Racing second, third, fourth. Elliott Sadler Esports in P number 5, Arjuna, as they exit 2.
We got up to 34 cars back on the leading lap once we got back underway. So about 12 more in the fight for the lead. If anything goes wrong, Frisch up to the front. Brady's pushing him forward. Almost 4 wide for 5th place as they enter turn 3. 4 minutes left to go.
And it is now Next Level Racing 1, Next Level Racing 2, as is Frisch who gets himself the lead from Brady. The question's going to be here, in terms of the team supremacy situation, Blake, are you going to help your teammates out, or are you going to just think about every person for themselves?
Well, I think we've seen it from modern NASCAR as Frisch, a big save. He got really loose there on the top side. You have your teammates early on, but at this point in the race, with 3 minutes to go, about 4 or 5 laps left, you're pretty much out the window. Everybody's racing for themselves, and I don't imagine an event like this where everybody wants to win that it would truly be any different.
We need to go and check the records. Liam Brotherton was in 33rd place earlier on in this race, Arjuna. He's currently running in P number 6. I think, quite clearly, this is not about his talent. He's bribed someone to get into the top 10.
Yeah, just like we all bribed the admins to throw the caution so Garrett Maines couldn't run away with it. We'll let it slide, but what a recovery. It's been back up through the field. Now he's got to work to try and team up with his teammate at the front. The 4 slides up the track, not for the first time today. Starting to build a bit of separation. Garrett Maines up high trying to block the 32.
And we're coming down to the last 4 or so laps in this race. And if you're Brady right now, you always feel like second car in line, Blake. You've got to figure out, what do I need to do to get myself past both the inside and the outside lane? It's not going to be as simple as just pushing one car as the 17 goes around. That's Alex Gardner on the exit of turn 4.
Well, and what kind of moves can you make? Remember, in 1987, that yellow line didn't exist, so that double yellow line that's right there that is technically out of bounds to make passes in modern NASCAR. 1987, that was not the case. As the field coming up on some lap traffic, this might shake things up. Oh, no, and Kenny Brady looks like he gets turned out of it.
Yeah, Brady is turned around. He just could not keep that car stable enough, and we are slowly whittling that front group down. Most of them were able to get through, and they clearly needed to abuse the old yellow line rule there, as we're now down to 90 seconds left remaining in this race. Realistically, 3 laps to go, just going to be 2 to go the next time they come past the start-finish line. Looking on board with David Schildhaus. He's currently in 3rd place, inside line, in towards 1, Arjuna.
Garrett Maines had the biggest tank slapper you could dream of on the exit of turn 2. 2.5 miles ago, slid backwards to 4th, but now trying to link up with Liam Brotherton. Teammates can work together to try and tandem their way past the 66. Blake Reynolds looking down low where David Schildhaus is getting assistance from Michael Frisch. 3 versus 3, Next Level Racing versus Elliott Sadler Esports.
It's going to be 2 to go at the line, and it is Next Level Racing 1, Level Racing 2. Behind them, you've got yourself 2 Elliott Sadler Esports drivers. They can come past the stripe. So penultimate lap. This is the time, Blake. You've got to set yourself up, and you've got 3 and 3 here in your top 6. Anything can still happen.
that's the case, and it looks like they're going to make a little bit of a swap right here as Garrett Maines goes down low. They'll be 3 wide for the lead, 3 wide for second. Garrett Maines gets the top spot. He's getting help from the 16 of Michael Frisch into turn number 3. They'll come around this time. They'll see the white flag, and all bets are off at this point.
These cars are shaking more than a 1980s blancmange right now, as they're going to come and see the white flag this time by, and there we are. No need for the yellow flag rules, as we've been saying already. White flag out. Last lap here. There are 8 cars in it. 4 from Next Level Racing. 4 from Elliott Sadler Esports. They are raising the wall through turn number 2 as they come onto the back stretch right now. We are looking, and look at that. That's Brotherton hard on the power, looking to try and go to the lead into turn 3. You know what? Well, get it as they started wrecking. We've got a car upside down, and there's a push, one push there for Brotherton, but that didn't do anything at all. Here comes the side drafting, here comes the banging as they head themselves towards the stripe. Who is it going to be at the line? It looks as though it's going to be Frisch who gets it. Not by much, but Frisch leads, and he claims victory by 8 1,000ths of a second there, Blake.
And Frisch played that perfectly, used a little bit of the side draft, and honestly, Reynolds kind of had his decision on who he wanted to win that race, but he decided to try to go for broke and help himself, and Maine's just not quite able to carry that same speed down on the apron.
And Arjuna, I think we can confirm Next Level Racing remain victorious.
Streak continues. I tell you what, if a race as chaotic, as unpredictable like this was unable to break the streak, well, it's going to take some breaking, and sometimes commentators do know what they're talking about, although I'll take absolutely no credit for copying Blake McCandless's pick for victory. Here's the run to the line.
Look how close that was as they did so. They touched a little bit. Michael Frisch there claiming victory. Liam Brotherton in second. Blake Reynolds in third. David Schildhaus in fourth. Blaze Crawford rounds out your top 5. That was exciting, and we really hope, by the way, folks, that you've enjoyed our coverage. This is not going to be the last Next Level Racing event here on RaceSpot TV. There are far more to come in 2022 into 2023. There is Garrett in the number 39 car getting turned almost upside down, then ending up coming back down in the right direction. But yeah, well, that was a lot of fun, Blake.
Oh, it was. Again, anytime that people bring this car out, I love watching it. It's always so special to see these cars out. We just brought out the Monte Carlo that was scanned from the NASCAR Hall of Fame. That was Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s old ride back in the day. But always fun to see these cars whenever they come on out and see people either be able to tame it or struggle with it. Regardless, it's always fun and a unique challenge for drivers on the sim.
We're going to have a chat to your race winner in a moment. First of all, we're going to have a look at your finishing results here today from 40 minutes of chaos, survival, and everything here in Next Level Racing. Second event on RaceSpot TV. Next Level Racing community member Michael Frisch claims victory by 8 1,000ths of a second over Elliott Sadler Esports' Liam Brotherton. Then you got 2 Next Level Racing in third and fourth, Blake Reynolds and David Elliott Sadler Esports claimed P number 5 of Blake Crawford. Then you've got 3 Next Level Racing community members in P6, P7, P8. They are P.T. Zeller, Alexander Russell, and Nate Stewart. 9th place is Garrett Maines at Elliott Sadler Esports. We saw what happened to him on the last lap of the race. And Daniel Solo, Next Level Racing community member in P number 10. Josh Edmondson in P number 11. Ty Severa in 12th. Reese Barham in 13th. Timothy Stubblefield in 14th. Adam Herr in 15th. Then you got Alex Gardner, Sam Swope, Nain Obrick, Steph Rita, and Colton Easterday rounding out your top 10. So you're going to get the rest of those results up on your screen right now. Don't really care about fastest lap. It's Daytona. You're pretty much full throttle as much as you possibly can. Are we ready, Arjuna, to have a chat with your race winner?
Sure, why not?
Let's do it. Over to you.
standing by with Michael P. Frisch. Another victory in this 87 car, carrying on some good momentum. What's it like with these cars trying to work through the chaos on the high banks of Daytona, Michael?
These cars are just a total different thing of anything else on the service. Let's just say that. You got to have a lot of just all-around good racecraft to know what's coming with this car, because it doesn't know what's going to do on corners. It's different every lap, honestly. But that was just a wild race to begin with.
Let's talk about the way that this race played out as well, with that last caution bringing the field back together. In the build-up to that, did you ever think you were looking at the chance of victory because you worked forward but then slid backwards as quickly as you'd gone up?
Well, the first half we kind of just, try to enjoy as much as we can, goof around and play around with the teammates as much as we could. And then once we got to the second ladder of the race, that's when we kind of put our serious face on. Anytime you see 1987s, you're going to see my name, because honestly, this car is my home. I just run so well with it. I know it's everything about it.
Well, the great news is this victory is going to give you some prizes, not just the bragging rights. A GT Elite cockpit frame and 100 US iRacing credits. Congratulations on the charge to the front and the victory by the thinnest of margins. Well-earned victory here tonight.
Thank you. I can't say thank you enough to Next Level Racing and Elliott Sadler Esports for putting this event on. This was so cool to just throw it up out of the blue, especially with all these 87 events popping up out of nowhere. You see these big crowds, and honestly, another good event all around.
Thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed it, if you've been watching, by the way, because it has been a lot of fun here today. And we've got a couple more people we're going to try and talk to. And you know what? We've got Liam Brotherton at 110. We'll have a chat with him. You almost made it, Liam, from 33rd at one point in this race. You managed to gain yourself up 32 positions, 31 positions. You couldn't get the 32nd. How close was it for you?
Oh man, it was wild. Hopefully you guys had fun watching. Oh man, I was just kind of chilling there on that inside. I had a plan. Gonna kind of wait till the last lap and hang the non-ESE guys out of line and try and get the win. And it came to that white flag, moved Blake Reynolds up out of the way. Sorry, Blake, I had to do it. It came back around to that back stretch, and unfortunately, just didn't quite get a push. And it was just going to be between me and Michael Frisch, a great friend of ESE's, and amazing 87 driver. Just won the World 600 for Blake McCandless put on. I mean, just knows what he's doing in this stuff. And I said, all right, I'm going to try and run him clean here. And hopefully I get the side draft back to start finish line. It just didn't come soon enough, but crazy finish.
So you weren't thinking about just accidentally having the wheel turn in one direction then?
I thought about it going down into turn 3 and 4. I was like, I could just wash up, put him straight in the fence, but Blake Reynolds got close to me and I couldn't open up the door. Otherwise, I knew I wouldn't make it. So had to close the door off. Couldn't quite wall him, and just ran out of time on that front. But it was a blast. Thank you to everybody over at Next Level. Awesome time.
Well, you managed to rock the Tide hat here today. Do we have any idea of what kind of hat, what kind of uniform, what kind of theme we're going to see you in next time?
Oh, man, I think we're going to have to go even further. I mean, this was kind of last minute to throw on the Tide gear and go rock it, but I think I might have to embrace it even further. Maybe the mustache needs to stay. So I think maybe some 90s guard, maybe some mid 2000s. I'll get some studded belts out and some Hurleys. We'll be good.
I mean, I can see you from UNC, but I was thinking we could go and talk to the Chicago Cubs, get their mascot, stick the mustache on. You'll be fine from there. But thanks very much for talking to us.
I think it'd be beautiful.
Perfect. Thank you very much there. Liam Brotherton coming home second place today. Let's talk to the final step of podium, shall we? Let's get that one wrapped up. Well, you know what? I'm going to make my life easier. Blake, go talk to Blake.
Oh, well, at least I can say you have a good name there, Blake. So close there. I know coming to the line, you tried to kind of throw a Hail Mary right there. But did you have fun? That seems to kind of be the theme of the night.
Yeah, I had quite a bit of fun. I was from the back to the front, just all over the place. There was a lot of chaos, but it was fun to navigate, and I'm glad I was able to get up toward the front there at the end, be a part of it.
I also know with these 1987 cars, you've done a lot of events like the Firecracker 400 before, but is this a car that you race often? And if you do race it often, how much do you enjoy driving these things?
I like racing it, but I don't race it as often as I feel like I could or should. You know, it's such a good community, like a very niche little community that runs these cars every hour, and I wish I could be part of it more. It's just I can't really commit the time to it, but definitely something I look forward to every time I get the opportunity to race. And when I heard about this event with Next Level, I knew I had to get in there, make sure I was free at the time, and just happy with how the race went. I mean, third place against, you know, ESC, the entirety ESC there at the end.
Yeah, I was about to say you went up against kind of an entire team that was somewhat kind of united, I guess you could say, or at least trying to help themselves for sure. But you do get some iRacing credits out of it, so I guess it's sure nice to take home at least a little bit that you can walk out of this away from.
Yeah, I didn't even know that, so I'm sure it's a good amount, something I'll look forward to, buying a next car or whatever, or putting up a hosted, so always good to have in your iRacing wallet.
Certainly so. Blake, congratulations on your third place finish tonight.
Yep, thank you. Shout out Next Level Racing, Jim Beaver Esports. Catch you later.
All right, Blake Reynolds brings it home in third, Will.
Well, we've actually lost Will Vincent, so unfortunately It's just you and myself, Blake. But let's talk about what we saw here today. You are the expert in these cars. I can only defer to you, but they're just so challenging. They're so very easy to lose on the high banks here, and at these speeds, there's no margin for error.
No, there's not. And I think that's what you saw, is that we had a large field of cars and probably a lot of inexperience driving in this field today. And that's kind of why you saw, some people losing it, a lot of wrecks. And again, I just have to say, we say it, and it sounds cliche when you say it enough, how much of a challenge these cars are. But they are something that is so unique, so different than what we're accustomed to seeing, that it takes its own form of experience and expertise and skill. It's no shock that we see a lot of the same names in front of these races, because these are such a tough car to tame that when you do figure it out, you have a huge advantage over the rest of the field, and that's just how it goes in these cars. So great that more people get introduced to it, and hopefully they can use this as an opportunity to learn a little bit and get a little bit more comfortable.
So let's say Next Level Racing versus Elliott Sadler Esports Part 2. We take out these 87 cars again. What track do you think would be the most technically difficult while still being approachable for some of our community members to go and have some fun at?
Well, certainly when you think about these cars, you got to think of Talladega. I mean, you have to. It's a little bit wider. You're even going faster, if you could believe it. You can fit 2, 3, sometimes 4 wide in these cars out there. That's a great racetrack to try these cars out. Obviously, North Wilkesboro comes to mind, a tight technical short track, but it's even built around being in 1987, having all the artwork done for it on the iRacing service. So it's a number of tracks, but I think Talladega, when you think of these cars and you think of Bill Elliott in 1987 being able to make up all those laps under green, that's a track that definitely always comes to mind with these cars.
Love Talladega. By the way, I've just literally experienced what it is like to have your German internet cut out at 2 o'clock in the morning. Something that we've had basically sim racers from around the world complaining to us. So apologies for my absence there for a couple of moments. I will say one thing before we wrap things up, Arjun. These events are so much fun, and they are designed to be fun. Yes, of course, the cream always rises to the top. We always end up with at least one of the better drivers coming home with victory, but they are designed to be fun at the same time. So even though there was some argy-bargy, we're not putting any iRacing protests in. Everyone's going to come calmed here. Otherwise, I feel sorry for the iRacing protest committee. Everyone's going to go, chill out, have some fun, and I'm really looking forward to the next one of these already.
Next Level Racing in 2022 have just been increasing the outreach almost week after week after partnering with the likes of Lionheart, which you could catch here live on RaceBot TV. Many of these teams, Elliott Sadler Esports, Legions of Racers, Team Fordzilla, the 3 that we've seen so far in these Versus challenges, but even the likes of Koana Gaming and so many more. These are the ways, though, that Next Level Racing continues to engage with their community, just like in the past week. They've announced new partnerships with the likes of Monday Night Racing and our friends at VCO as well. So excited about what Next Level Racing is doing here in 2022.
Yeah, there's something like the official cockpit provider now for VCO, so really, really happy to hear that one. And Blake, it's been a pleasure commentating with you. I'm very sorry that you're not going to have to deal with that many wrecks, hopefully, in the next round of the NASCAR series.
Let's hope not. They've been getting after it this year. These shorter races have made the drivers a lot more aggressive and intense earlier on. But yeah, let's hope it's a little bit cleaner than that when we go out to Pocono here in a couple of days.
And it's that time of the night when I say, producer, cue the music, please. At this point, I'm just hoping that the music's on. There we are. So with that, we're going to say thank you very much to everyone who's been a part of our coverage here tonight. It's from Elliott Sadler Esports, the community members from Next Level Racing, the staff, the ambassadors from Next Level Racing, and of course, all the people behind the scenes who have helped put this, our second Next Level Racing event on RaceBot TV, together. My thanks, of course, goes to Blake McCandless and to Arjuna Kankapati for helping me out in the commentators booth and stepping in when German Internet did its German Internet thing at 2 o'clock in the morning. And also shout out, as ever, to our executive producer, Hugo Louise, working behind the cameras and adding a little bit of 80s flair to this event. So we now return full speed into the present. We go through all the Microsoft versions. Silicon Valley has gone through a .com boom, and it's, well, in whatever it is these days. We've got ourselves, of course, the nice shiny Cup cars once again taking center stage on iRacing very soon. And with that, we say thank you so much again for being a part of our coverage. Join the conversation on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Discord. We are RaceBot TV. My name is Will Vincent, as we say goodnight from Daytona International Speedway.